Hey guys, so I just got back from seeing Ford v Ferrari or Ford versus Ferrari or whatever the hell you want to call it. The new racing movie with Matt Damon and Christian Bale that I've been hearing a lot about for the last few months, not just since it came out this weekend. I've heard a lot of very positive things about it. It like premiered at like a film festival, I forget which one, this like a few months ago, and it ever since that it premiered at a film festival, I forget which one it was. I forget what I think Cannes maybe. It's gotten crazy good reviews. Like a lot of critics have been, given very high praise, and like it's been one of the most probably critically acclaimed movies of the year. Uh, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like for the trailers, it looked like a pretty decent little racing movie. I'm not a big fan of racing and all that shit like that, but when done right, you can make a good racing movie. I remember a couple of years ago there was that movie Rush that I really fucking enjoyed. That was a really goddamn good movie. And this was like, I was like, all right, so this maybe this year's Rush, and that movie was really critically acclaimed, and this one's getting a lot of critical acclaim. So maybe this is this year's version of it. Um, and it's got a really fucking stellar cast in it, and it's directed by James Mangold, the guy who most recently did the last Wolverine movie, Logan. That's been, obviously got very critically acclaimed. And I really fucking love that movie. And also did stuff like Walk the Line. I forget what else he's done. He's done a lot of other stuff, not just those movies, but he's a really good director. So like he's made some really good movies over the years. So like when I saw his name attached to it, I was like, okay, probably be a pretty good movie. And yeah, this is a really fucking good movie. I really enjoyed the fuck out of this movie. Um, this is, I don't know if I would put it in my top 10 of the best of the year. Honestly, it's one of those. We'll see what. I'm waiting to see what else, all the other movies I see before I make that list, before I make that determination. It's like, it couldn't. I don't know. It's like, it's one of those. It could. I don't know. It's not my favorite movie of the year, but it's definitely one of the better movies of the year. I'll say that. I really did like this movie a lot. And the crowd that I saw this movie with was really enjoying it. I mean, really enjoying it. Like people were like, "Ah!" I'm like, every time like they were references how fucking awesome Ford is. I've heard old people orgasm. I'm like, yeah, I know. Ford's an awesome car company. It was made in America. I get it. I get it. That was the only thing that was annoying about this movie was the fucking audiences in there with. But they didn't really bug me too much with this movie. Um, the two lead performances are fucking great. Matt Damon and Christian Bale. Matt Damon, I thought out of the two, I thought Matt Damon was the weakest. Just because I've seen Matt Damon kind of play a lot of these kinds of roles before. Honestly, I've seen a lot of Christian Bale play a lot of these same roles before too, but it's they're not like, but they both are really good at like pulling these performances off. So I had no problem. Like Matt Damon is this former race car driver who was the only American to win the Le Mans race, and then had to like pretty much right after that retire because he had heart troubles and like is now being told that if he ever races again, he could probably possibly have a heart attack and die. So he is now refrained to basically build cars and help train racers, and that's how he kind of starts his relationship with Christian Bale, who is a guy who races for him and helps him build cars and shit like that. And he's like I said, Matt Damon is really good in this movie. Like there's, especially towards the end of this movie, he has to really show his acting chops towards the end of this movie. I love Matt Damon. He's a fucking great actor. But I thought the best performance out of the two was Christian Bale. Christian Bale, man, like I know he's won what best supporting actor. How the fuck he has not won best actor yet is beyond me. He's one of the best actors alive today, in my opinion. Like, god damn, everything I see him in, he just knocks every role he's in out of the fucking park. And this one's no different, man. He like his ability just to transform into these characters, whether it be through some of the extreme ways he gets into some of these characters, especially like stuff with like weight loss or weight gain, like he has done over the years. He is really good in this fucking movie. I really fucking dig him as an actor, and he's really good in this movie. He's this guy who, I mean, you've seen this character before in these kinds of movies, who's this recluse who doesn't always listen to authority, and the authority doesn't like him, especially some of the suits that work for Ford Company because of this, and they don't trust him, but he's really good at what he does. I'm like, yeah, I've seen this character a million times before. And he's this guy who wants to be a racer but doesn't really make any money racing, so he owns like a mechanic shop where towards the beginning of the movie his mechanic shop is shut down from the IRS because he owed taxes, and so he's pretty much broke and has to try to find dead-end jobs and quit racing because he needs the money and he has a family, and racing isn't making him any money. So then he gets this offer from Matt Damon to help race Ford in the Le Mans race. And the rest is fucking history. Like I said, he's really fucking good. Like it's Christian Bale, man. He Christian Bale's the shit out of this role. He's awesome. Like he's like easily the best fucking thing about this movie. Like I said, I like Matt Damon a lot too, but I thought honestly out of the two performances, I thought he was the more compelling character, the more interesting, even though it's, like I said, something you've seen before, a character you've seen before in these kinds of movies. But yeah, it's not a bad thing. Like for the most part, I would say like this movie is not unpredictable. I'll say that you pretty much can tell where it's going, but it's not. It's like I've seen movies like this before, but that isn't a bad thing, especially when it's well done. If it's well done, I don't really mind if it's like there's been a lot of movies that have been done a million times before, and it's hard not to repeat a lot of movies. And so with a lot of these kinds of movies, especially like racing movies or sports movies, you see a lot of the same tropes. And in this one, you see a lot of the same tropes too. And you see a lot of those, including who's the fucking actor? I forget what his name is. I'm looking it up real quick. The one guy who was the suit that works for Ford. It's like the villain in this movie. Josh Lucas, that's right. I kept forgetting his fucking name. Josh Lucas. He's like the villain in this movie who he works for Henry Ford, but he's like a second in command kind of guy who doesn't like Christian Bale's character because they had a confrontation early in the movie, and Christian Bale basically turned him off from ever liking him and never really wanting to give him a chance because of this. So Josh Lucas is pretty much trying to sabotage Christian Bale from ever being allowed to race for Ford, even though he's the best at what he does. It's like one of those characters I'm watching this movie, I'm sitting there like, is this based off a real guy? And this really happened where he was kind of sabotaging this guy so much to the point like it got really ridiculous. As like he should have been, if he did, he should have been fired from his job. He was kind of bad at his job. If this is it, I have a lot of doubts that this character, even if he was a real character, he probably was exaggerated a little bit on like how extreme he was as far as like trying to hinder Christian Bale's character. John Bernthald's in this movie. He's in this movie briefly. He's awesome. I love John Bernthal. The racing scenes are fucking great in this movie. They're really good in this movie. They're really well shot, really well made. They don't look like cartoonish CGI cars racing. It actually looked like I'm watching a fucking cars on a racetrack. I don't know. I'm sure most of it was CGI, but I want to know how much of it was practical, what was CGI, because I really didn't see much of the difference. And I give them credit on that. It looked really good, and like it was really well shot. I could tell what was going on. I don't know why I have to fucking compliment a movie on that, but honestly, movies nowadays, that is a fucking gamble whether you'll be able to tell what's going on in some action scenes. The action scenes, I've seen a lot of people praise them, and they are really good. The racing scenes in this movie are really fucking good. Probably this would have probably been pretty decent on an IMAX screen, I'm sure. But I don't have an IMAX screen anywhere near me. I think except like maybe an hour away, and I'm not gonna go fucking wait an hour to go see this. Go drive an hour to go see this movie. So yeah, but. Man, also want to mention this. This is not getting too much spoilers. I knew a little bit about the story. I didn't know all about the story, which it was kind of fun knowing only a little bit. All I really knew about the story was who wins the race, but I didn't know much about what led up to the race and what happened after the race. I was interested in seeing, I didn't know. It's basically started by, I want to know if this is true. Did Ford try to buy Ferrari back in the 60s? And that's how this whole feud started over Ferrari basically saying, fuck you to Ford, Henry Ford II. And Henry Ford II took it personal, so he decided he wanted to beat him in this race. Seems like a really big dick measuring contest going on, but whatever. But I thought that was interesting. That's kind of funny. But also, god damn, man. This movie ends on a kind of a bummer of an ending. And I didn't know that. If you know anything about the character, the people that this movie's based off of, you kind of know maybe how this ends by me just saying that. But if you don't, I'm not going to spoil it, but it is kind of a bummer of an ending. And I was like, man, for such kind of upbeat little comedy of a movie, man, that kind of was a bummer. Ended on a fucking downer note. But I liked this movie a lot. I really did like this movie a lot. It's 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours go by pretty quick, I'll admit. It didn't feel too long. Especially with the racing scenes, the last race in the movie's probably the last 40 minutes of the movie. So they give a lot of time for that. So yeah, I highly recommend this movie. I haven't seen it yet. I know a lot of people saw it this past weekend, and I don't know how many people are going to see it this weekend because we got some weird animated film called Frozen 2. I never heard of it. That's coming out, but yeah, as far as trailers go, listen, I highly recommend Ford v Ferrari. Go check it out. Trailers go, only new trailer I got was The Way Back. A new sports movie starring Ben Affleck and directed by Gavin O'Connor, the guy who made what the fuck was he's the guy who's made a lot of fucking movies. I'm trying to remember it all. He made that underrated UFC movie of Joel Edgerton and Tom Hardy called Warrior, and he also made The Accountant of Ben Affleck. And this movie starring Ben Affleck too, where he's a drunk alcoholic whose life is in shambles, and he decides to be a coach of this high school basketball team that are basically a bunch of losers. They are a really horrible basketball team. Tell me if you haven't heard that before. Bad News Bears, every other sports movie ever made. And it looks pretty fucking dark of a movie. I'm sure he finds peace and the basketball team succeeds. I'm sure it's one of those kinds of movies. It didn't look bad. It looks like Ben Affleck acting his ass off, maybe trying to get an Oscar. Even though this movie's come out in March. So I don't know how much Oscars this movie's going to get unless they push it back. It looks like him trying to get an Oscar nomination or another Oscar at least. Actually, he hasn't won an Oscar for actor yet, or not even director. I know he did for screenplay, but yeah, I wouldn't mind. I like Ben Affleck as an actor. I mean, it looks pretty good. But anyways, yeah, that's as far as trailers go. What the hell? What's this week? 21 Bridges, Frozen 2, and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Pretty decent movies, it looks like. So, until then, I'll talk to you guys later.